Hello, this is Adolf. Welcome to the video lecture series on the course of building construction. So this is the lecture number 2 in the unit number 3. The lecture number 1 we started with the stonemasonry and we saw some of the topics in the stonemasonry. So this is the continuation of the lecture number 1, or it is a stonemasonry part number 2. The content of the video lecture is, so we are going to see about what are the mortars used for stonemasonry and what are the points to be observed in the construction of stonemasonry. What is about cold grout masonry. So these are the topics we are going to cover in this video lecture. So let's start our lecture with mortars for stonemasonry. So what are the points we have to keep in mind while choosing the mortar? So the mortar to be used should be good quality and in specified spaces. The masonry hoarding should be properly packed with mortar and chips if it is necessary, because to avoid the halo formed between the formation of halo in hoarding area. A proper curing to be done for almost 10 days. So for 10 days we have to give the proper curing to the mortar. So mortars to be used for stone masonry should have high strength, durability, binding power, and very good initial and final setting time. The last point is, what the cement ratio should be used as per the requirement. For our kind of requirement, we can use the water cement ratio. So what are the types of mortar that we are going to use in the stone masonry is, first we are going to use what is a cement mortar, second lime mortar, third gypsum mortar, fourth gauge mortar, fifth surki mortar, aerated cement mortar, and mud mortars. So these are the different types of mortars we are going to use in the stone masonry. So let's see them one by one. Start with cement mortar. So in this cement mortar, cement will be used as a binding material and sand will be used as an aggregate. The proportion of cement and sand decided based on the specified durability and working condition. So how much the ratio of the cement and sand, it's based on the depending upon the durability and the working condition. The cement mortar will give high strength and resistance against water. The proportion of cement to sand varies from 1 is to 2 to 1 is to 6. So if you take cement into sand ratio, if you take 1 part of cement, you have to take 2 part of sand. So if you take 1 part of cement, you can take 3 part of sand. So the ratios will vary between 1 is to 6. So if you are taking 2 part of cement means you have to take 12 part of 12 part of sand. So the ratio will be 1 is to 6. So if you divide 2 by both sides, 1 is to 6. So ratio will be 1 is to 6. So the ratio will be 1 is to 2 to 1 is to 6. So this is a cement mortar. Second is lime mortar. So in the lime mortar, lime is used as a binding material and sand will be used as an aggregate. Sand will be used as an aggregate. There are two types of limes. One is fat lime and hydraulic lime. The fat lime in lime mortar requires 2 to 3 times of sand. That is, fat lime is to sand ratio is 1 is to 2 to 1 is to 3. So anything between 1 is to 2 to 1 is to 3 ratio, we can use the fat lime. And hydraulic lime and sand will have the ratio of 1 is to 2, 1 is to 2 ratios. This hydraulic lime will give good results in damp condition and also suitable for waterlogged areas. So if your area is full of waterlogged, or it is or if your area is in a damp condition, the building is in damp condition, so we can go with the hydraulic lime. The lime mortar has a high plasticity. So if it is so it can be placed easily on the structures because of its high plasticity. The best example of the lime mortar structure is the pyramids of Giza. So the pyramid at Giza is one of the wonders in the world. So at the olden days, they plastered the whole pyramid with lime mortar. So this is the pyramid of Giza. So this pyramid of Giza is plastered with the lime mortar, the olden days. Third one is gypsum mortar. So this gypsum mortar consists of plaster and soft sand. So the plaster will be used as a binding material, and soft sand, it will be used as a fine aggregate. This gypsum mortar, it has a very low durability in damp condition. So if you are using this gypsum mortar in a damp condition, its durability is very low, so it won't withstand that much period. So we have to consider some other mortar in the damp condition. The fourth one is gauged mortar. So in gauged mortar, the combination of lime and cement will be used as a binding material, and sand will be used as a fine aggregate. So in previous we saw, in cement mortar we will use cement as a binding material, lime mortar we saw lime as the binding material, but in gauged mortar we will see a combination of lime and cement as a binding material, and sand will be used as the fine aggregate. Gauge mortar is essentially a lime mortar which is strength increased by adding cement. So usually gauge mortar is a lime mortar only, but its strength is increasing by adding cement. We are increasing the lime mortar strength by adding the cement to it. So the mortar will have high plasticity of lime and high strength of cement. So it will have both characteristics. So lime, because of the lime, it will have high plasticity. Because of the cement, it will have high strength. The ratio of cement to lime ranges from 1 is to 6 to 1 is to lime. So the ratio between cement to lime is 1 is to 6 to 1 is to 9. So if you are using 1 pot of cement, we have to use 6 pot of lime. So this is the gauged mortar. Next is Surki mortar. So in this Surki mortar, lime will be used as a binding material. Instead of sand, Surki used as a fine aggregate. So Surki is, it is a finely powdered burnt clay. So Surki is nothing but finely powdered burnt clay. So this surki, which provides more strength than sand, and cheaply available in market. So this surki will give more strength than sand, and it is very cheap, and it is very much available in the market. So this is the surki mortar. Sixth is aerated cement mortar. So basically it is a cement mortar to which air entraining agent is added to it. So basically it is a cement mortar, but we are adding a admixture that is very much useful to air entraining into it. So we are using air entraining agent to the cement mortar. So why? Because to increase the plasticity and workability. So increase the plasticity and workability. And the last one is mud mortar. So in this type of mortar, mud will be used as a binding material, and sawdust, rice husk or cow dung will be used as a fine aggregate. So this mud mortar is very useful where lime or cement is not available in a particular area. Then we will go with the mud mortar. So these are the types of mortar that we are going to use in the stone masonry. Next is, what are the points we have to observe during the construction of stone masonry? The first point is, the stones we are going to be used for construction should be strong, rough, hard and well seasoned one. So size very small size stones should not be used. The stone second is, the stone to be used should be dressed as per the requirement of the work. So what is the work we are going to do? As per the required size and shape, we have to dress our stone. Third is, the stone should be well watered before use, so that they do not absorb moisture from the mortar. So the stone should be well watered before use, and it should not absorb moisture from the mortar. Fourth one is, the formation of continuous vertical joint should be avoided. So we should not give a continuous vertical joint in the stone masonry. It should be avoided. And proper bond should be maintained while carrying out masonry work. Proper bond is also should be carried out. Next is, masonry work as far as possible should be raised uniformly. So if you are building a 1 meter, then you have to uniformly build the wall to the 1 meter. Surrounding walls should be constructed to the 1 meter. So it should be raised uniformly. Why? Because to avoid the non-uniform distribution of load. To avoid non-uniform distribution of load to the foundation. Next point is, the masonry should be provided with adequate number of through stones. So what is the adequate number of through stones we have to give? We can't give more number of through stones and less number of through stones. Next point is, hollows hollows in stone masonry should be properly filled with mortar and stone chips. You have to fill the holes, hollow holes in stone masonry with mortar and stone chippings. The entire masonry work should be properly used at least properly cured at least 10 days. So the entire masonry work should be properly cured at least 10 days. If stone masonry is to be carried out at higher levels, we have to give double scaffolding. We have to give this double scaffolding to carry the work at the higher levels. So these are the points we have to be observed in the construction of stone masonry. The next topic is what are the tools and plans required for stone masonry construction. So like material tools like trowel, chisel, mallet, iron hammer, pickaxes, scrambling hammer, pitching tools. These are some of the tools that are required for the stone masonry construction. Trowel. This trowel is used to lift and spread the mortar on the stone masonry. Chisel, it is mostly used to dress the stones. Chisel will be all mostly used to dress the stones. Mallet. Mallet is the wooden hammer used for driving of wooden headed chisels. So for wooden headed chisels we will use mallet. Iron Iron hammer is used for carving of stones. Pickaxes for employing for dressing of rough stone and split stones in quarry. Scrambling hammer is used to break small projections of the stone. Claw tool is employed for dressing the surface of stones. Pitching tool is used to make the stones of required size. Jumper. This jumper shown in the diagram, it is used for boring holes in the stones. Wedges and feathers. These are the wedges and feathers. So wedges and feathers employed for cutting the stones after they have been bored with the jumpers. Glads, a small steel wedge used for splitting of stone. We know saw. The crosscut saw is used to cut a hard stone. Hand saw is used to cut soft stone. Frame saw is used to cut large blocks of stones. So these are the tools that are required for the construction of stone masonry. The next and the final topic in stone masonry is coal grout masonry. A coal grout masonry is also known as colloidal grout masonry. So the coal is the short form of colloidal. So the resultant masonry by injecting coal grout mortar in a pre-packed stones is called as coal grout masonry. So pre-packed stone means we already arranged the stones. After that, the arrangement of stone, we are injecting the mortar, coal grout mortar in the stone. That is called coal grout masonry. So how we are preparing the coal grout mortar is, it is a coal grout mortar is a mixture of cement, mostly colloidal cement, fine aggregate and water admixture at a high speed in coal grout double drum mixture. So the diagram shows the coal grout double drum mixture. So it is the front view and it is the top view. So this is how the coal grout drum mixture will be there. So in this we will mix the cement, fine aggregate and water admixtures we have added into the coal grout drum mixture. Then at an high speed, the motor we are getting from that is called coal grout motor. This uh, this coal grout masonry is constructed in UCR masonry. UCR is uncoast rubble masonry. uncoarse rubble masonry. Why we are using this UCR masonry means it was observed in the UCR masonry, the voids in the rubbles are not filled up properly with cement mortar. So the uncoarse rubble masonry will have lot of empty spaces. So that empty spaces are not filled with the cement mortar. So this will leads to the heavy seepage of water through the body. So if you are using these UCR structures in the dam, so it will cause a heavy seepage of water through the body once it was commissioned. So that where in the for that particular reason we will use the cold grout masonry. This was mainly due to the fact that the placement mortar was not done properly by unskilled, inexperienced mason. So cold grout mortar, it is a flowy mortar. It is like a flowable. It like of water. It will like a flowy mortar and gets filled in once you are injecting the cold grout mortar into the structure. It gets filled in each and every void or gap in rubble masonry. So it once it is filled in each and every gap, it provides dense, strong and impermeable masonry. So impermeable means water cannot pass through it. So if you are injecting this one, so every voids of injecting cold grout mortar, the every voids will be filled with the mortar and the whole structure will become strong and impermeable. So this is about the cold grout masonry. So mostly this cold grout masonry will be used in UCR structures, mostly in dams where we can use the cold grout masonry. So in this video we covered what are the types of mortar we are going to use in the stone masonry, then what are the points we have to observe during the construction of stone masonry, and we saw the tools and plans we're going to use in the stone masonry, and finally we saw the cold grout mortar. Thank you.